A Merseyside derby right after that disappointing FA Cup loss to Plymouth was the perfect chance for our team to bounce back. And what made it even sweeter, it was the last ever derby at Goodison Park. A win would have left a permanent stain on our neighbours' memories. Unfortunately, the result was as painful as it gets, conceding in the dying seconds. But beyond that, the performance just wasn't up to standard, especially for a team looking to respond after crashing out of the FA Cup. But despite the poor result, as always, here on Panenka, we're bringing you everything you need to know, from what the Reds got wrong to what they did right. And, of course, we'll have a little rant about Michael Oliver's disaster class because, let's be honest, it was a bit too much at times. So, hit those like and subscribe buttons and stick around till the end. You won't want to miss our rant. As expected, after heavily rotating the squad for the cup game, where, let's be honest, no youngster did enough to earn a starting spot for the rest of the month, Arne Slot went back to his trusted starting 11. Alisson started in goal with Andrew Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate and Connor Bradley forming the backline. Trent Alexander-Arnold, still recovering from injury, had to settle for a spot on the bench. In midfield, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister and Dominic Szoboszlai got the nod, while Luis Diaz, Mo Salah and Cody Gakpo led the attack. So what went wrong? How did we end up generating fewer expected goals than Everton, a team that's only managed 25 goals all season? Well, take a look at this picture. These are all the passes we made throughout the entire game. Notice how the clusters start to thin out as we approach the final third. Yep, that's the problem. We couldn't pin Everton back in their own half, which meant we struggled to sustain pressure, create quality chances, or get our players into the best shooting positions. So why couldn't we keep the pressure on? Well, the first reason is simple. We lacked a focal point in attack. Luis Diaz, who kept dropping into pockets of space to link up play, failed to pin Everton's defenders back. This allowed their backline to push higher up the pitch, forcing us further away from their goal. But the second reason, our inability to consistently play through Everton's defensive block. Let's break it down. This is our passing map inside the defensive third during the first half. Basically, how we circulated possession in the build-up phase. You can see the struggle, barely any passes into the middle, where key ball progressors like Gravenberch and McAllister operate. And with Trent out, we missed his game-breaking passes from deep. So why did we struggle this much? Time to bring out the analysis tools and show you, just like we always do. Here, you can see us starting our possession sequence in the usual 4-3-3 shape, but in reality that wasn't always the case. More often than not, we looked to progress the ball with Gravenberch as a lone pivot, shifting into a 4-1-2-3 shape. Nothing new, but could that have been the problem in the first place? See, Everton defended in a 4-4-2 mid-block, which shifted into a 4-2-4 whenever their wide players pressed our fullbacks. This allowed them to go man-to-man against our backline while keeping constant pressure on our number 8s, McAllister and Szoboszlai. Now, you might be thinking, Gravenberch is right there in the middle, so the pass into him should have been easy, right? Well, not exactly. Everton's two strikers made sure to keep him in their shadow cover, cutting off the passing lane towards him. On top of that, their central midfielders had the freedom to press him the moment he received the ball. And you can see the result right here on your screen. Ryan received just 19 passes, and nearly none of them came from the centre-backs or were deep in our own half. Now sure, Everton did well to block our central progression channels, but there's something about Gravenberch's game that didn't help either. Now don't get us wrong, we're not putting this entirely on him. He's having a fantastic season. However, his somewhat average off-ball movement and his tendency not to drag markers around or consistently arrive into space to provide a passing option have always been an issue against teams that press high and block central lanes. If you've been following us on Panenka, you'll know we've highlighted this weakness in Gravenberch's game before, but we'll leave the decision to you. Do you think this is why Liverpool were after someone like Zubimendi in the summer, a player who's constantly on the move, creating passing lanes and space for his teammates? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, how did Slot react to fix this? After all, we've come to expect our manager to find in-game solutions and tweak things to get the best possible outcome. Well, in the first half, we saw Alexis McAllister drop deeper at times to help with build-up and progression. We also saw Bradley driving down the right half space to pin Everton's left back and create space for Salah. But none of it really worked, at least not until Slot made his substitutions in the second half. Now before we get into that, let's take a moment to appreciate McAllister's performance, especially the way he created that goal out of nothing. He single-handedly stopped an Everton counter-attack, quickly combined with Salah to get the Egyptian into an isolated position, something we barely saw all game, then burst into the box to bury that beauty of a header and level the score. At this point, it's almost a given. When things get tough, Alexis McAllister is the guy who can make something happen. And the same goes for Salah, which, let's be honest, isn't even surprising anymore. His goal scoring and creative numbers are off the charts, and there's no question he's one of the best players in the world. In a game where we struggled to create chances, Salah still managed to assist the first and score the second. But before we get into how he scored our second, let's start with how Slot's second half tweaks nearly won us the game. With Slot's changes, most notably taking Gravenberch off and dropping McAllister deeper, it might have seemed like we stuck with the same 4-1 structure. But in reality, Trent began inverting from right back into midfield, forming a double pivot alongside the Argentinian. This shift gave us an extra option in central areas to progress the ball, while also forcing Everton's wide midfielder to track Trent. That, in turn, created space out wide, allowing Szoboszlai to drop in or giving Salah more room to receive. This sequence you just saw on the screen led to us progressing the ball, winning the touchline battle on the right-hand side, and eventually pinning Everton back to score our second goal. But that wasn't the only tweak that made the difference. Both Curtis Jones and Tsimikas, who came on as subs, played crucial roles in that goal. Here, you can see them rotating, Jones dropping deep while Simi bombed forward. This movement forced Everton's centre-back to stay inside his own box, and without it, Jones's clever run back into the area wouldn't have been rewarded, as the defender would have gotten to the ball first. Unfortunately, despite all these adjustments, we only walked away with a point. And looking at the overall performance, you'd probably say it was a fair result. But if you factor in Oliver's disaster class, well, that's a whole different story. You know us guys, we almost never talk about refereeing decisions here. We just want to focus on football and tactics. And most of the time we try to turn a blind eye when mistakes happen. But this game shows just how incompetent Premier League referees can be. Yeah, we're taking no hostages here. Apparently, you can dive like a swimmer and win a free kick. That's how we conceded the first goal. How Oliver saw that as a foul is beyond us. And if you thought that was bad, just wait. There's more. We had 64% possession compared to Everton's 36%, yet somehow Oliver awarded them 20 free kicks to our 9. How does that even make sense? It's like he forgot to read his own rulebook, because half the fouls and yellow cards he gave out were just plain wrong. And to top it all off, Doucouré was marginally offside for Everton's second goal. But don't take our word for it, here are the pictures. Make of that what you will. And by the way, despite VAR taking their time with the check, Oliver went on to blow his whistle right after the restart. Brilliant game management that. It seems like all the noise from other clubs crying about refereeing decisions is starting to influence the officials. Now sure, this already happened and we can't change it, but if performances like this from referees keep happening, something needs to be done. Rant over guys, let's just hope we won't have to do another one anytime soon. For now, the mic is yours. What did you think of our performance? Do the players need to tighten up, or was this just a small slip on our road? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons for more content.